You want to know the best Master Set players from the Captain's event? Well, here's a tier list. I want to be clear here. This event, 3 weeks long, right before Team of the Year, and because of the slower progression overall, none of these cards are must-makes in my opinion. So there will be no S-tier card. However, a lot of players that have been slowly grinding have had the ability to make one just via collectibles that were given from objectives, and you want to make sure that you make a good decision. Well, number one, always choose a player from your favorite team or your favorite player. For example, I made Jerome McGinley when I had better options already. And number two, just because it's my opinion, it does not mean it's the correct one. This is simply just my opinion from what I have seen and who I've used. Let's get into it. We are going to start in the D tier. Unless you are a diehard Dallas Stars fan, there's really no reason to make Jamie Benn's captain's card. There are far better options. Power forward is one of the worst build synergies, and he does get checking boost, which is nice, and playmaking boost, but he's already strong in those fields anyways. Born Leader is on every one of these cards, and Born Leader is a very good ability, but close quarters and big rig, just not really going to move the needle. He is firmly in the D tier. Joining him is the right-handed version, Shane Doan. Power forward, gets checking boost and defensive boost. He's got Born Leader, close quarters, and no contest. 88 speed and acceleration, shot under 90, hand stats under 90. This is like a centerman build that can't play center. So again, unless you are a Shane Doan or Arizona Coyote fan, hard pass here. He's in the D tier. Maybe a bit of a hot take, but Steve Yzerman for me is in the D tier. I've only played him a handful of times, but you just never notice him. The reason for me why he's so low is simply because he's got 91 speed and acceleration, which is fine. But at 5'10", 185, you kind of have to be exceptional at something. And while he's got playmaking forward and shooting boost or defensive boost, shooting boost would get his slap shot into the middle 90s. Slap shots in this game either don't register, so they're harder to pull off, or just straight up don't go in nearly as often as they did in prior years. Off the rush is one of those weird abilities that will give you a boost to power and accuracy just after you enter the zone, but once you've made a pass or entered the zone and taken a shot, it will no longer activate. And backhand beauty is pretty decent for the price point. But like I mentioned, his balance only at 85, agility at 87, body checking at 80, just super mediocre for a Steve Yzerman card. So unless you're a Red Wing fan or an Yzerman fan, hard pass here. On to the C tier, we've got the 88 Dennis Potvin, offensive defenseman, as well as speed boost and accelerator boost. This almost put him into the B tier, but again, I think speed boost is still just a little too difficult for the majority of the player base to activate easily without absolutely sewering your team and just basically putting in cards that have speed boost even if they're not good. Born Leader on a defenseman is interesting because you get the energy boost from block shots and big hits, so it's not just goals, which you probably won't score nearly as many of as with a forward. Thunderclap has its usefulness, and Wheels is now much better since the patch, but at 91 speed, that's not really who you want to activate Wheels on. His body checking's only 85, and he's only 6 foot 205. Not that he's small, but he's just not huge either. There are a lot of other better left-handed defensemen. Ray Bourque is also in the C tier, offensive defenseman as well as shooting boost and accelerator boost. Born Leader, stick him up in Heat Seeker. Stick him up on a defenseman that is under 6'3", in my opinion, is just not all that effective. You want that extra reach, which is what makes it so impactful. Heat Seeker is pretty nice because it activates anywhere below the face-off circles. 91 speed, 91 acceleration isn't bad either, and his sneaky good wrist shot at 99. But again, much like Dennis Potvin, there's just far better other left-handed defenseman options, so unless you're a Bourque fan, this is a pass. All right, hand up. I was wrong. I've used this Jerome McGinley card. He is one of my favorite players of all time. Put him in my lineup. Literally couldn't do anything with him offensive. Again, because you can't activate that first synergy, power forward is just a tough one to activate. It's kind of like a hole on your team or detrimental to the card because now any sniper forward or playmaking forward, which are much more easier to activate, they get an attribute bump. Shooting boost is nice, but his shot is in the low 90s, and I just really couldn't score with him all that much. Unstoppable force is noticeable. He does hold onto the puck quite well, but again, just a super big letdown. His deking is only 85, so all of his dekes are rather slow. While I do think he is serviceable, just not as good as I hoped after I used him. On to the B tier, we've got the 88 Roberto Luongo. I still think this is the safest option if you are going to make a MSP with your free collectibles. I've heard both sides, that he's awful, that he's great. I think he's got one of the best abilities in the game in terms of showstopper. Goaltenders are going to be as good as they are depending on your defense. He does have speed boost, which is a nice synergy, and defensive boost or playmaking boost if you want to do synergies as well. But I think he's in the B tier because of that longevity. Roman Josi also in the B tier. While this is not a bad card, the reason why he's not in the A tier is because his new 89 overall live moments card is better, and you can get him for cheaper than what his 88 MSP would cost you, so there's just really no point. Shutdown is great, Seeing Eye has its usefulness, and again, Born Leader does as well, but again, his Live Moment card, in my opinion, is just better. So while this is not a bad card, and in a vacuum, this is in the A tier, there's just no point. Lastly, in the B tier, we've got the 88 Ron Francis. Great on the face-off dot, with defensive boost gets up to 99, purely a defensive player. His abilities are all super mediocre, his shot is in the 80s, his skating is in the 80s, his deking is 88, his body checking is only 83, but he's got great size and the potential at 99 face-offs, so even without abilities, he will still have an impact on your bottom 6 if you were to use him like that. On to the A tier, we've got the 88 Joe Sakic with Sniper Forward and Shooting Boost. Love this combo simply because it drastically improves that player's shot, and Joe Sakic's wrist shot gets up to 99. Born Leader, Elite Edges, and make it snappy. I think the only thing that would make this card better is Unstoppable Force, but at 93 speed and acceleration and Silver Elite Edges, he is going to be a fantastic skater for you. Defensively, he's complete liability with only 73 body checking, but you're not using him for that. On top of that, you could go defensive boost, give yourself 99 faceoffs if you'd rather play him at center. I personally think that he's better on the wing, but at least he gives you lineup flexibility, which is why he's in the A tier. Then we've got the 88 Steven Stamkos, essentially the right-handed version of Joe Sakic. Gold Born Leader, Schneip, and Silver 1T. His one-timer is at 99 on that slap shot rating, and again, still a fantastic skater. I wish he had defensive boost to make his face-off rating a little bit higher. At 85, in my opinion, unless you are extremely knowledgeable on the counters on the face-off, he's probably going to be a winger for you. But Steven Stamkos cards always play very good, and his shot is just absolutely electric. And then lastly, in the A tier, we've got the 88 Mark Messier. I mentioned this a number of times in my prior videos. He is a perfect third or fourth line center on your team for the next month or so. Silver Quick Draw 99 faceoffs means that there are very few cards in the game that you will lose to if you do the exact same face-off motion as your opponent, which gives you a massive advantage, especially if you are knowledgeable. Offensively, I just simply can't really score them at all, I'll be honest with you. That still hasn't changed, but he's got 90 speed acceleration. I don't notice him being slow, and I notice him defensively all over the place. He hits everyone extremely hard, and I haven't even used Back At Ya, but I'm going to start messing around with it because I've actually gotten pretty good at reverse hitting. I just think this is the safest card outside of Luongo if you want a card that's going to be on your team for the longest possible time, which is why Mark Messier is in the A tier. Again, I want to be clear, there are no S tier cards from this event in my opinion, so I do want to give you an alternative option, and that is to use your collectibles to make 85 overalls or 83s, whatever way, or 82s, whatever way you want to go, but you could cash in all of your captain cards, make as many 85 overall cards that you possibly can, and then just hold them for Team of the Year or a future event if you do not want to invest in any of these Master Set players. And again, I don't blame you, so this is an option that you could do. Thank you guys again for watching. I'd seen enough comments to realize that you guys really wanted this video out there in terms of the Captain's event. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.